Hi everybody, and welcome to my another game analysis review from the British Chess Championships. This is my round 4 game. I was playing white against James Jackson, who's an international master. He's rated 2381, so obviously very close still to that 2400 mark of international master titles. And I must admit I was feeling a little tired today, but we'll come into that a little bit more. My preparation for the game wasn't really that extensive due to time, but I did kind of expect that he would potentially play a King's Indian. And I was just kind of thinking about which opening variation to play against him, and I've got lots to do. For example, I could play the Samish, I could play the 4 pawns attack, I could even go knight Ge2 here for the Kramer variation, but actually decided to just play the main line of knight f3. And maybe this was not an error, but I allowed him to play maybe a variation that he'd maybe prepared or maybe done some work on before, because obviously the normal move here is castles, we go bishop e2, and then we're kind of into the main line kind of stuff. But he jumps out with bishop g4 immediately, which I play the King's Indian myself, I know of this variation, and basically gives me the bishop pair instantly. But the problem is though, is that the bishop pair is not as powerful in this position with every single pawn being on the board. And all my pawns being so far forward, we can very quickly, kind of block them up. He jumps out with e5. Now, of course, I could take and then take the queens off, which was a tempting kind of thing to do, because the light square bishop is not that bad. But I am aware that if I do take and go into this variation, that really it's really dominated by this square on d4, because I can't put my knight into here long term because it'll kick it away with c6, but black can put a knight into this square on d6, and this square here is able to be occupied by all 3 of the black pieces, whereas the white pieces, we've only got 2 white pieces that can occupy that d4 square. The light square bishop, unfortunately, is not able to. So this exchange that's happened earlier of this bishop coming to g4 and taking the knight off means that black can occupy this square on d4, a massive outpost in the position. So really, I mean, it's still equal. Obviously, white's maybe got a space advantage too, but I just wasn't tempted to play that, and also I quite like playing the move here, d5. So then, okay, so I play d5, and he plays h5, and this is pretty much what I expected. He's going to swap off the dark square bishops here, which is obviously a key plan because my light square bishop's so weak, and I can't actually prevent this from happening. So I actually play queen b3, which amazingly, I was a bit unsure here that the games that have been played here before, 24 people have gone h4, 21 people have gone castles, and then 11 people have gone queen b3. Of which actually the computer said it was the best move, and I was just a bit shocked, to be honest. I thought I was just being a little cheeky here, just causing black a little bit of an issue on defending this pawn. Here at this stage, I thought this was just an interesting thing for him to do, because does he push it? Does he play queen c8? And the idea is that after queen c8 I now go bishop g5, and he obviously can't go bishop h6 because I take the knights. I knew though that this was kind of short-lived, because he goes knight here, and obviously he's threatening to go bishop h6 next go, but I go queen c2, and the point is that when he goes bishop h6 I can take and go queen c1, and my plan was to actually go not just h4, but actually b4 as well. And the idea is that when he goes a5 I can meet it with a3, and he can't take and go rook takes rook a1, because my queen is now back on c1 defending it. So that's the point behind all of this. However, upon analysis with the computer, apparently my idea of getting b4 in here was actually really bad, and maybe I should have just played it a lot slower and maybe just chucked my queen to d2, castle kingside, played h4, played g3, and then eventually slowly gone b3, a3, and then when the time was right, go b4. And this might have been a better way to play it, just taking my time a bit more, but I guess maybe I was just used to playing in a bit of a different way. And he puts his king round to that side, and it looks like I've got a lot of space on this side of the board, on the queen side, but actually it's not really coming to anything at the moment. I thought queen b8 was an interesting idea. Maybe he wants to either support the b pawn coming forward or come out to a7. So queen e3 stops queen a7, because I can swap off and then go knight b5, which picks up the c7 pawn, and then he goes rook c8, and then here I think I just played some really bad moves. I think I think maybe also he played some bad moves as well. Actually, I think we both didn't play really very well in this part of the game. It is complicated, but I think I saw some easier stuff. C5 was maybe a little rash. This is maybe me being a little bit too I don't know, not being past there, not relaxing and not taking my time and rushing it. I kind of saw that this variation after c6 wasn't that great for me, and the reason is that after takes, I just assumed he could take with the pawn here, and just literally the attack on my b pawn is actually really difficult for me to meet, and this is not going to lead to something that's good for me. And I thought that this was a good variation for him, so I didn't really even know what I was going to do. Maybe something like rook b1, lining up with the queen. But even though after pawn takes pawn here, if I do rook takes, then he moves his queen, and my pawn here is really weak. If I do pawn takes, then my pawn's backward on an open file. But he took with a rook, which surprised me, and I took on d6, and I was thoroughly expecting here for him to go and take on b4 first. The point being he's attacking my knight, so I have to recapture back, and then take the pawn back on d6, and actually this fixes the pawn on the b4 square. So something like this, for example, and you see here how the queen is attacking the pawn. Don't really want to move it forward because it gives him some dark squares. Okay, he swaps rooks first, sorry, let's just put that in before you all tell me that I'm blundering a rook. I just thought that this endgame was maybe easier for him to play, and this pawn on b4 was just a real weakness. But instead he took back with a rook, and I did not expect this to happen, and so I jumped my knight into b5, he goes rook c6 and play rook b1, and actually all of a sudden I'm actually perfectly fine here. I feel like I'm really much happier than what I was a few moves ago with that variation, because I can take back on b4 with the pawn or the rook, depending on what's going on in the game. And he goes queen f8, obviously attacks that pawn. I go bishop e2, so my one piece that's been really bad all game is this bishop that's doing nothing, so I need to get it back into the action, and now we have a target, which is this f7 pawn. So if I can somehow get my bishop on this diagonal to attack that pawn and actually be useful, also potentially occupying the d5 square rather than just doing the defensive job, then this will massively improve my position. And he takes on b4, I take back with the rook, and now I've just got to be careful that there could be some sort of idea where he sacks here, and if I haven't got the queen, for example, here, and take back with the knight, then this queen will be able to take my rook, so I have to, if he takes, be able to take back with the queen on a3, which is obviously what I plan to do. And also taking back with the rook is also a little bit of a dubious decision, because it's a b pawn against an a pawn. So the b pawn is actually slightly better because it controls two squares, whereas the a pawn can only ever control one square because it's on the side of the board. So I knew I was taking a little bit of a risk there, but of course my rook was lining up with his pawn as well, and that will come into action later on. He plays knight c5, which is expected, and I surprise him with this move f4, and I was really happy right now, because now all my pieces are starting to get active. The bishop's just starting to rear its head. There's even sacks on h5, and then also at the same time I've got this rook coming down on the f file, so that's obviously really useful. So obviously he goes queen e7, and I thought, okay, if he took here, queen takes, this is exactly what I want. You can start to see that this f pawn's becoming a massive target. I've got moves like pawn to b5 coming in. He's not going to do this. He goes queen e7 here, and then this is where it starts to get interesting, because around about this time, I knew that I equalised, or not more than equalised, maybe even a slight advantage, but definitely equalised. I'm definitely back in the game. It was a bit miserable beforehand, but now with the position opening up, it suits my bishop over the knight significantly more than before. And so I decided to push on. I think he was worried about me taking. And then after queen takes, going knight d4. I wasn't so sure about this one though, so I didn't really know. I didn't really look at knight d4 too much. We're starting to get obviously a little bit low on the clock, but not too concerning at this stage. Maybe he goes, I don't know. Let's see what the analysis says, because I haven't even analysed it yet. Oh no, we've gone back to the wrong position. Let's just skip forward a little bit. Okay, so we're around about here with f4, aren't we? So here I did f5, but if I go f takes, queen takes, yeah, and then knight d4, apparently he can just go rook c7. Oh wow, and my next move is really fun. Alright, I didn't see this one coming. Apparently it's still better for black, but apparently I can go knight f5 check. I mean, then this move was in the air and definitely was in my thoughts, but I completely missed it. He can't take, because apparently I've got a perpetual maybe? Oh no, it's just an attack. King f8, I do rook takes f5, and you start to see how weak black's position actually is. Wow, that is coming in. really quick. That's the exact kind of thing, but apparently you can just go king h8 here, and hang on, what? That doesn't make sense, because after queen h6 check, he has to go knight h7 and the queen stops the checkmate. Oh wow, okay, that's going to be that's going to be a scary variation for black to play. I missed that one. But okay, I mean, I decided to play f5, and I kind of wanted a waiting move here. I kind of didn't want to do anything, because if he takes me, it brings my queen forward on this f file. So maybe king h1 or something. I didn't want to go king h1 because the queen takes h4 is also being lined up, and that would be a check. Maybe g3, but there's some variations where I want to go queen g5, and if he gets attacked, I wanted to retreat to g3. My bishop can't go to c4 just yet. I believe that the e4 pawn is maybe going to get captured. I don't want to move my rook or my knight. I don't really want to move my queen anywhere. I don't really want to move my rook on f1 anywhere. So I was struggling for a move, to be honest, here. So that's kind of why I went f5. And actually the computer says that this is good. But then after knight d7, I then went to exchange the pawns, and I thought this was again weakening up his king. More chances to get around it and try and get into it as much as possible. I have like some ideas here of like bishop takes h5, shall we say. So I wanted to go queen g5 here. But yeah, this is the move that I wanted to play. I didn't play it. This is the move that we're going to try and do, but I just completely forgot that you can do rook takes a3. And the problem is that I haven't quite got bishop takes h5, or at least I didn't think I did, because, this is where I've gone wrong. I thought I didn't have this move, because you see here we take advantage of the pin on the pawn to the king and the pin on the knight to the queen, but I thought here he can go queen c5 check, and then when I move my king, okay, king h2 apparently is best, he then does knight takes bishop, and am I piece down? Am I a piece down here? I am a piece down. Why is the computer saying that this is equal? I have absolutely no idea. Apparently queen d2 is equal because I defend the rook, attack the knight on d7 with check, and I'm still threatening the rook on a3 with the knight. Oh wow, that is crazy. Okay, I missed that one. I missed that one and actually ended up here missing something else. I should have played actually knight a7, and actually we kind of have this kind of like repetition going on, and the rook can come down to here, but I guess my bishop can attack it. The rook goes like back, and then I actually just put the bishop back here. I kind of just do nothing in this position, and I get the draw. But no, because I thought queen g5 was losing a piece after bishop takes h5, I ended up just playing it, just blundering, and went rook c1, and it's just a complete and utter blunder, because he can now do rook takes a3, which is a really nice sacrifice, a really nice tactic that works. Okay, I take here, and the point is that I can't take with the queen to defend the rook on b4 from his queen, because then he does rook takes rook check and drags my rook back, which is the exact piece that I just moved, and then he recaptures the rook on b4. So yeah, I couldn't do that one, so this was just a really stupid move. And then here at this moment I'm getting ready to resign, shall we say, because it's not even one pawn, it's potentially going to be 2 pawns down. So I'm just playing on just for fun, and I thought he could just take a second pawn here with knight takes e4, and I don't think I've got any tactics. I think I would have had to go queen e1, and I saw some crazy ideas, right, like queen here, I suppose he defends it, and then he goes something like knight here. And then if he goes, I'm sure he can go queen d2, which wins, but if he goes like queen here, then I might have this move, which is quite fun, because if he does knight takes knight, I can do queen takes e5 check. But he's had plenty of time there, because we'd made the time, or come up to the time control. He's got plenty of time. He should have been able to find knight takes e4 here. Queen c5 is just kind of, I'm not going to swap queens off when I'm a pawn down, so I just play queen b2 and think, okay, what can I do to actually try and get myself back in this game? And he plays b6, so I say, right, get the knight active, and then he comes in with his queen, but I go knight d6 and he goes check, takes the second pawn, and then all of a sudden I go queen b3, and well, you can start to see what's going on here. This queen's coming in, and it looks really dangerous. He goes queen f4, and it's on move 38, 39 now. So when I go queen e6, this is really useful, because now I'm going queen e7 check. If the king comes out here, I've got knight f7 check with a perpetual check as well. So this is obviously really good. And then what happens is he goes queen c1 check, we repeat one time, and then he goes king h6. And then actually, here at this point, I didn't even realise it. I'm just analysing this now for the second time actually, but I thought what I did was good. I should have played queen e7 here. This was my miss. Apparently this still is nearly equal. Right, the computer is struggling here, and the point is that I set up the discover check. I thought though that after king g8, I completely missed. I've got knight d8, and the interesting thing here is that the knight comes to e6 and it guards all of these squares here. So you know the black queen can't get back in to defend. And of course, it also threatens checkmate on g7. Because I thought here, like if I go like I don't know, knight back out, for example, I have to go queen check again. It costs me time, and he's got time to kind of probably even launch a checkmating attack with his knight and queen, even if I do bishop takes knight. But yeah, I mean here at this point it's just crazy. Knight f7 check, king here, and then I just go back, and that's just loses. But actually, even here, apparently queen e7 first is okay. The computer can't even make its mind up. It's crazy. Well, the king runs out to g5. I thought I had to stop this. And then queen e6, and the point is that knight f7 check, king here, queen h3 is checkmate. So actually that's also drawn. Oh wow. So queen e7 was the move that I missed. Okay, well I went knight in, knight back out, and this was just the wrong idea, because now you see his queen comes back in. Okay, you shouldn't have done this apparently, because knight f7 check is another mistake. Knight f7 attacking the queen is another mistake. I should have gone g4. Oh wow. I mean, what is going on? This is this is crazy stuff. You're just allowing all of these checks as well, and that's how complicated this game is. And black's still got a slight advantage, might still win, but I mean, this is mental. But it just shows just how I was getting ready to resign. I was still able to get some chances, and actually probably should have even drawn the game if I find queen e7, which was my main other candidate move around at this point. So after knight in, king here, queen e7 was the move that I was seriously considering but didn't play. And knight d6 is a mistake. He makes a mistake. g4 apparently here is good, but just jumping the knight back in, and then unfortunately I get kicked out, and there's no way back from this point, and I get my pieces getting pushed back, and nothing happens. Okay, so yeah, I ended up resigning here on move 60, because then we'd have to use another score sheet, which I don't want to do. Obviously another long game. Yeah, a bit disappointed with missing the tactics, because that was a bit sloppy, and I know that if I'd have been a bit more rested and with a bit more preparation, I could have definitely got a result in this game. But okay, onwards to round 5 today, where I'm going to be playing against John Potter with the black pieces, so looking forward to that. So yeah, by all means watch the game live, and hope you enjoyed the video. If you click like and subscribe, then of course it encourages me to do more of them as well. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.